with children, they can manipulate them and try to make them off themselves, essentially. But with, older people, like, they'll bear down on their chest, so it'll look like a heart attack, or, that they stopped breathing, smothering, So it's awful what they do. And I don't understand why they kill us and why they take us. Like, I don't know what their motivation is. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's not like feeding energy off of us if they kill us.
Yeah. So what is their
purpose? Yeah.
end goal? I mean, they do get a lot of energy from us. I mean, it could be some type of feeding for them. But
right. Like
so we'd be like their sheep.
Right, exactly.
So it's crazy.
That's so funny you said that, because I had this awful dream once where it was one of those that I think it was real,
Oh yeah.
And it was just awful to where part of it was something coming up out of the well.
Okay.
Like goo.
Yeah.
But it was a form of a being, cloaked being, and then they said something like, "You'll never ascend," And then I look over, and of course I'm freaking out, And I look over, and there is somebody, literally. Have you ever seen Pirates of the Caribbean? Have you ever seen that movie?
I think I saw the first one.
There's I brought it up because there's a scene where the one guy is literally molded into the ship and has become part of the ship.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. So this guy, I look over in my dream, and the guy is literally molded into the wall and has become part of the wall.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
So of course it freaked me out, and of course I've got these issues now with this dream, right?
Okay.
And when you just said that, the thing was in the wall, came out, that's why I was like, maybe think of that. Creepy. You don't think that would be, say, a shadow person? Because that actually started out with, I mean, obviously I know you don't, you can't tell me everything, but that actually started out with, some guy asking me for help, and I was him on around it, and then I finally said, yeah, I'll help you, and he slammed a book closed, and was like, ha, I got you now. And then it started with the thing coming out of the well, and
saying
I almost ascend, right? And it almost makes, obviously I know that could be something way
I think
deeper.
There's something trying to trick you.
Yes.
And they will, and they'll try to make you doubt yourself or doubt your faith, and think that you are just doomed.
Right.
And they want you to do that because then you'll fall down. You'll basically fall down the hole. You'll fall down into the well, into the darkness and the abyss. And so that's a lot of what the negative does, is they try to manipulate people.
Right, and just snatch my power right away. So do you think that could be, I mean, I know obviously you don't know, but is that something characteristic of a shadow person?
Well, that would actually go more towards like a demon.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Not
it was.
A shadow person. It would be more along the lines of a demonic.
Right. Because that's what I thought. But then when you were talking today, I thought, maybe. The whole standing at in front of a book and the idea of agreeing, selling, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then of course, obviously
But you know that they don't have that power.
I believe I control me and what.
Yes.
So yes, I'm very spiritual, so I do know that, but it still gives you that doubt,
Well, that's the thing you have
that's
to
how
fight.
they get you.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I'm fighting against.
That and be like, oh, hell no.
Right. Because I even told her when I was like, I know that they can't do it. I mean, I need to know what I'm up against, obviously. But so I was like, I know they can't take, I control it.
Yes,
but,
absolutely.
So I did, I'm I'm glad I got to pick you for a minute and ask you that because like I said, I thought it was more a demonic or an astral nasty. I like
That's
to call
what
it.
it sounds like to me.
But I still, it's nice to ask you if you thought it could be a shadow person. So thank you very much for talking to me.
Okay.
Do you want to go?
You've got a lot of helpful info, Amy.
Thank you.
We'll go wherever you want.
We get drawn into, we want to like sleep there. We don't want to leave.
You want to what?
The crew will be packing it in and we're like, we're going to sleep here. We're going to sleep on the floor. We're just going to hang out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's not good when you get stuck in a location like that. You feel like you want to move in. That's not a good.
We were both on the front stoop going, we want to sleep there.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine that if you're there that long, you don't, it would be hard to try and remove yourself. And you're starting to another time.
Yeah. It totally depends. Like, and of course, what's engaging, like, kind of personally, like, where it's like, this insane phenomenon, and you're just like, this is fucking crazy, and I don't want to leave because this is like, before the show, I would stay on a location anywhere from a week to a month to several months. There was a case I worked on for 3 years. You know what I mean? Because there's always all this information at different levels, and so it's really hard to just be there for a week.
Well, and I would think, obviously from your talk, it's like the researcher side of you,
Yeah.
like, I want to know what's going on.
Exactly. Like I wish I could bust out my, equipment, and yeah, exactly. So it can be very difficult to leave sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you get invested with the family, and
Yeah.
it's sometimes, I don't know how much is editing or whatever, but sometimes I watch the family and I'm like, I don't know if they're going to actually do what they're supposed to do.
Well, for the blip that tells what they like.
Oh, the follow-up.
They get to follow.
Well, there's a lot that you guys don't see with the reveals, and so they can last for hours. And I only meet the family that night, and that's the only contact I have with them. So it's very limited. But it can go on for hours and hours and hours. And what their guys, my guys, and the dead are telling them to do, usually you guys do like 2 or 3 things. No. Oh no. There can be lists.
Oh, really?
Yes. And some of the things can be extremely personal and private. And sometimes, it takes the people a while
you keep following up with them?
Yeah, I hear the check-ins from typically their teams that they put together. So
Oh, no, you're fine. No, I just find it fascinating.
so did you guys go to the attic?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a back room that have two nooses hanging up.
Oh shit.
No, that was like the most uncomfortable place I was. That's like behind those three little rooms.
I didn't even
They're
make
like-
it back there,
Yeah.
so holy shit.
They look pretty old.
I didn't see those last year.
Yeah, there's.
Okay, so they just put those up for.
Well,
No, they've been there.
Oh,
they're
can
like
tell.
they're in like a weird corner of the room, like behind all the other rooms, and they're
I
just
didn't even
hanging
know
way
that
up in the
corner
ceiling.
existed.
You talking about the graffiti?
No, we're talking about the nooses.
The what?
There's nooses. There's two of them.
Oh.
Noose? Nice? Noose? Behind those three little
There was
rooms.
some graffiti in there that was like naked girls. They drew naked girls on the walls in the attic side.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
You guys,
Somebody was an artist.
You might want to go back and look at that.
Well, right when you step in the door to the attic over there,
Yeah.
and you turn to the right, it's on. There's some on the wall right there.
Oh, like
but-
right, okay.
But you didn't
It's fine. I'm going back to those little rooms.
Yeah, it's pretty intense back there too. So have y'all been through the entire place then? Yep.
Well,
No?
Well, she means up here.
No, I mean like through the whole building.
Oh.
Part of the building.
Part of it, yeah. I think it's so huge. It's like, I'm
It's
sure
massive,
not.
right?
I'm sure not the whole thing, but
Yeah.
the basement was interesting.
yeah, I've never been there before.
So crazy.
What?
Now, have you done a walkthrough since you've been here? I mean, like, have they, like a tour?
No,
Okay.
no.
Just too
Only
much?
up here. This is the only place I've been. And it's the attic made me sick, so that ended up happening with all of the people they let apparently just die so, from being sick. So that was great. But did anybody get any good like EVPs or photographs or anybody getting touched or filled or groped?
No?
No?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Well, I'm sorry.
I don't think they like this group.
Really? Has that just been the whole night for you guys? Like nothing? Really?
A little bit.
That was it. And then kind of.
Yeah, it was interesting because the dead in this room, after the second group, just kind of cleared out.
Maybe they followed them. I don't know. No?
Well, because he was back there he came back for a little bit and was making some noises back there. Like was it the last group, I think? That's interesting. I wonder if they're like a void.
A lot of people.
There's a room deep back in through here around the corner
Yeah.
that's really small and it has some gadgetry.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what
He
you're
ran
talking
back
about?
there earlier, yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting area. Yeah.
He ran back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that sucks. I'm sorry you guys haven't had much going on tonight.
Did you see the cross laying up on the?
I haven't I'm just trying to keep an eye out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just a cross laying up on the.
I think it would be kind of difficult to get evidence. This many people. The noise, just because of the noise.
Back the first time, we came back.
So did your mother or grandmother have the same ability that you have, or?
My father is a physical medium and my mom is a telepath and a psychic empath.
So you had it on both sides. Then.
Yeah, the males are my father and the females my mother.
So do they actually use it like you do, or just they have it?
My father, you know, after Vietnam, he kind of shut down, and then, but when he was a cop, he was more open to it,
Oh yeah.
and it helped him a bit. But my mom hates it, and my brother hates it, so they don't really use their abilities.
Oh,
But my dad's way more open to it than.
well, it's a lot to take in. I mean, as you know,
Yeah.
if it's actually affecting you like that, I mean, making you sick.
Well, I use it too much. I shouldn't be doing as much as I do.
So sorry. I know it won't tip over, but it just.
So what's the risk if you use it too much?
Well, really,
Physical mediums, I mean, just like illness and whatnot.
yeah, like cancers or sudden death or aneurysms, things like that happen.
Couple small things.
But that's typically physical mediums that are dealing with that, or psychic empaths will usually get like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, things that are like that kind of long-term, illnesses. So it just depends on the type of sensitive and what kind of illnesses like coincide with that. But a lot of sensitives have like depression and PTSD and anxiety, and it's just a myriad of.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around all this. When you say like you see like the guy running in there, I mean, do you physically see somebody, or you just sense that something's going in there?
Well, right now I'm not completely open, so like I saw him physically with my eyes, but I'm not seeing like details basically. So it's like I know there's a male over there. I see him like an outline right now, but I'm not seeing the details I would see if I was open.
So if you were
I'm not
open
allowing
and
that
you
to
see somebody,
happen.
would it be just like you seeing her sit there?
Yeah.
And have you ever been with another sensitive person that you both see the same thing?
Yes. And actually, the method that I typically utilize uses 3 different types of sensitives that are all kept isolated. They do independent walks from one another, and then of course we have the equipment going, done in a very strategic manner, and then we have a detective that we work with. All of this is independent. Then we come together at the end and we see what we get. But that's the full method.
But you've been in a room with somebody else that, like, you see that person sitting there and you're like, yeah, I see that person.
That's happened, but the thing, like, as far as validation is concerned, like, there's one other person that I've ever had that experience. Her name is Jen O'Malley, and she comes on the road with me occasionally. And she, prior to her pregnancies, was a physical medium. And there would be times where we would just be hanging out together and see the same deceased person. But that can't happen on an investigation, because if I'm sitting there being like, yeah, I see this guy, and she's like, yeah, I see him too, who the fuck's to say?
Right.
So you have to keep them isolated. They
be
can't.
independent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So
In order to confirm everything.
you have to isolate the variables. You have to control the variables as much as possible. So, sorry.
Is it possible that somebody like have abilities when they're younger, like have the abilities and they are in touch with it when they're younger, and then I guess close off, or I don't know what you call it, but
Close
then
down.
like manifest like issues because they can't handle it? I don't know how I'm saying this.
Like
have like stress, or
Yeah,
body
panic
issues, or-
attacks and things like that because they're repressing it. Yeah, that can happen. It's not typical, but it could happen.
Some kind of physical manifestation or whatever. Not- Interesting.
So is this something that you're just born with the ability, or can it be taught?
I think everybody's born with it, and it just depends on if you shut it down or not. And typically people who stay open consistently from the time of birth until they're older usually have some type of traumatic experience. And so they go into like a survivalist mode. And that means you don't shut down, because basically abilities are just hyper, it's just our five senses, they're just hyper. So you're hypersensitive, essentially, and to your surroundings and your environment, and then it just all boils down to perception and how you interpret the information. But typically they go into that kind of a survivalist mode, which I think, you know, unfortunately evolution hasn't, fortunately or unfortunately, who's to say, evolution hasn't completely weaned out of us. But as hunters and gatherers, we had to be completely hyper-vigilant to protect ourselves and our children and our tribe. And so they were much more aware than we should be today. And so that's that. I'm exhausted. I can barely make a coherent sentence. So, how are you all doing? Hanging in there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? I'm so, we don't get to look at any good photos or anything. Nobody got anything, huh? Jeez.
Nothing.
Does anybody have any other questions or?
Well, I know I felt a lot, which was, especially when you were talking in the room with everyone, that I just started to cry, and everything kind of, my neck hurt. And it still was, I mean, there are sections in this place where I get physical pain.
Okay.
And there, I guess when, was I in the, oh yeah, it was when we were in the basement. Mm-hmm. And I got the emotion of wanting to cry again. Mm-hmm. But this was up in the room with everybody else when you were having your talk. Mm-hmm. And the heaviness and the pain and just the need, I just started welling up. And it was probably about 5 minutes later, then just light brushing all over the, and at first I thought, I turned to her and I said, something's tugging on my hood. And she's like, what? And I said, something's tugging on my hood. But then I realized I don't have a hood on my sweatshirt. Oh. So I was like, whatever it was, and it lasted for probably 15, 20 seconds, and then it was gone. And then it was like, as soon as you left, I turned to her and I went, I don't know if I want her around me, because she kind of brought all these emotions on me, and I don't know if it's somebody that's around you that affected me, or I don't know what it was, because I didn't feel it with when the other people were talking. It was just you. It was weird, and I don't know why I'm like feeling physical pain, because I go into other places and it go away.
Really?
You know, I feel it in here, and I felt it in the basement, and I felt it in the infirmary. But in the east and west, I didn't feel anything. It was almost like I left one area and went to another area, and all the pain was gone. I thought, what? And I don't understand why I'm feeling that, because I've never really experienced that before. And the empathy was weird. I mean, it was just a sudden wave that just came over me.
Yeah, that's how it can work.
I mean, and I couldn't control it, and it was
right.
Like, I couldn't think of anything that was making me sad. It just hit me. And then it was gone just as fast as it came.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I felt that, and that's something new for me, so.
Wow.
I mean,
you're okay
I'll take
now?
that, yeah, I mean,
okay.
I think I'm just exhausted now.
Right, now it's exhaustion.
I mean, I can obviously say, well, my neck is still kind of killing me, but I could just be tired at this point.
And from standing and walking all night. And
I knew that, and it's not necessarily, anything like that, because I'm used to being up on my feet all the time.
Right.
So when I started feeling it, I thought, and it was just strange the way it came and went, depending on where I was.
Yeah. Oh.
So I don't know.
And that's the interest, like when you're getting, after you do a room and you're feeling that way, then going up to the people who are, running it and being like, okay, why would I have felt this type of depression or this type of pain? Did something happen in this general area that would have caused me to feel that way, and that's how you can get validation.
Well, my equilibrium was off a lot, but I don't know if that was just the instability of the floor or, you know, what it was, but I felt a lot of being off balance.
Right.
In a lot of places. It was like I'd find myself
Yeah.
stumbling when I was walking. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just me or
Yeah,
if it
that's
was
a hard
something.
one to, yeah, that one's.
So I don't know. It was, I'll take something home with it. I know that.
And anybody over here have any questions or experience anything? Okay. Does anybody else have any experiences they want to share or anything that happened? Nope. Silence.
Does anyone know what time it is?
Yeah, I think we're all.
12:42.
Sorry.
Hope it's okay. Give you what? Nope, it's just put your son down. Because I was in the